Okay, so here's the thing. I'm doing this video because it's necessary. I'm a person where phrases just will like echo in my head as like signs and admissions and as guidance until I follow said guidance and said instructions. And so what has been echoing in my head has been one, and this above all to thine own self be true, and it should follow as the night the day, thou can sin be false to no man. But the second one was, if you don't write your narrative, you need to write your narrative, or else someone else is going to write it for you. And it's been like, it's been, I don't know why this has been bothering me, but I do need to address it. So yeah, Table Publishing, we are here to elevate the voices of BIPOC women writers. Yes. So you may have been noticing that for the Y State Anthology, yeah, we do not have like all BIPOC women writers. We got a little sprinkle in there. And even with this particular project, I had to decide what route I wanted to take here. Did I want it to be because I'm fully aware that domestic violence affects Black women and women of color 6 times more than our counterparts. But this isn't a pissing match. It's not a pissing contest. See, me, I'm a warrior. I'm a light warrior. So I go up against the big beasts and the big monsters. I go up against the beast. You know what I'm saying? I'm going up against the multi-headed beast. I'm not here just to fight on the micro level. And so domestic violence has no bias. It doesn't discriminate. And so when I had to decide, like, is this going to be something where I want to elevate the voices of BIPOC women who are suffering from domestic violence, or do we want to tackle this as a whole? And something in my heart just said, domestic violence doesn't discriminate. And once you take that route, you're going to see the bigger picture. And that was when the lens opened up for me, where I was able to say, this is an in-depth analysis of humanity as a collective. This isn't just about domestic violence and what's happening in partnerships and the stereotypical view that people generally have about intimate partner violence or any type of violence that occurs within spaces where you believe you're supposed to be safe. This was bigger. This is about the lack of empathy and humanity. This is about us moving the goalposts regarding violence and what's acceptable so far that even I saw a public service announcement from a Department of Health that literally said, if your partner is threatening to not give you medical care, because this was a PSA for pregnant women who might be in domestic violence situations, and it said, if your partner is denying you medical care or refusing to take you to the hospital for medical care, or if they're threatening to not take you to the hospital or something like that along those lines, those are warning flags for abuse, and you might be in an abusive relationship. And I was like, that's not the warning sign, that is the abuse. Him doing that is the abuse. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean that's a red flag? No, that is the abuse. And so I remember thinking to myself, okay, so I understand now why the Creator said in its infinite wisdom, Tamara, you're about to open up something bigger. If you don't, as long as you stay true to yourself and true to what you know about domestic violence, which is the fact that it doesn't discriminate, doesn't care what race you are, doesn't care what gender you are, doesn't care what class you are, doesn't care how rich or how poor you are, it doesn't care where you live, whether you're in America, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in France or Australia, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. And so then I have to ask myself, domestic violence is not a living thing. It is something we as humanity created. It is a condition. It is a behavior that we have created as humans. Why? How? What the fuck? What's wrong with us? And I'm able to ask those questions now because I decided I didn't want to keep it narrowed down. This is the one and probably only book where we will say that, yeah, we opened it up to everybody. It was here for everybody, and we wanted to elevate all voices. I know one writer, one author, she pulled her submission because she saw our tagline where it was like, we elevate the voices of BIPOC women writers. And she was like, I can appreciate this from her as a white girl, but she was just like, I don't want to take a spot from somebody else. And I'm like, well, we're open for everybody. So you're not taking a spot. If anything, you might be depriving somebody, even if it's a woman of color, you might be depriving them of that enlightenment, that aha moment, that come to the truth moment that they need, that they might have gotten from your piece. But that's on you. My attitude is like, don't go into spaces where you aren't supposed to be, trying to fight for a spot. Like, no, then you are really taking a spot from someone else. But in this particular space, it wasn't limited slots. It wasn't like, you're going to take something from someone else. It was more along the lines of, we're going to come together as a team, like Voltron. It doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what creed, it doesn't matter what religion, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We're going to come together and we're going to talk about the behaviors, first of all, that we dealt with before we even got with this partner. The things that were going on in our childhood, in school, teenage years, whatever, from our peer group, family, whatever. Like, there's something that was happening in our regular, everyday human society that was already chipping away at us. You don't just get with an abuser and just like that, you're a victim of domestic violence. Like, it doesn't happen that way. There's a chipping away that has already occurred, to where when you've gotten with this person, they make you feel full, they make you feel complete, they make you feel safe. There's something that they're giving you that you feel like you were deprived of prior to even getting to them. But this video is too long. I wasn't trying to go this long. What I was really trying to talk about is why I opened it up, why Tavo opened this up, and we didn't keep it along the lines of just having BIPOC women writers. I didn't want to do that. When you're fighting something as big as domestic violence, I didn't want to take that route, because I understand the multi-headed beast I'm fighting. This isn't even about even the patriarchy and misogyny. I used to be a 911 dispatcher. Baby, I took calls from men who were victims of domestic violence. Don't get it twisted. So I know this is a human problem. This is something where we're socialized to not care about each other and to not have the levels of empathy that we're supposed to have. And while we can root it and stem it back to patriarchy and misogyny, we still have to talk about, well, what does that make us women into? Like, when we're victims of it, or when we have boys who complain, who, talk about the abuse they suffered from a woman. So it's good to have those conversations. So, yeah.